AXPONA, Chicago, 2016, launching yet some more speakers. I'm keeping myself busy, and this time I've got two models I'm showing that I'm playing. One of them is the first of a new range that we're calling, well, it's a step up from the debut, and it's called Uni-Fi. And it's Uni-Fi because I've gone back to my love, which is concentric drivers. I've been doing concentric drivers ever since I was at KEF over 20 years ago. And it holds something special for me in the way it handles the music. But I've not been able to do it in the debut series because they're at a lower price point than I could really do justice with designing a concentric driver. So now these bookshelves start at $500 a pair, and we have three speakers in the range: $500 for the bookshelf, $1,000 for the equivalent tower, and then a center channel at $349. So these are true three-way systems, even with a $500 bookshelf. 5-inch aluminum cone woofer, 4-inch aluminum cone mid-range driver, and a 1-inch soft dome that's a development from what I did with the debut. But it's more refined, goes out higher in frequency, it goes out close to 30K. And the key is not that it can do 30K, it's that it hasn't started rolling off by 20, which a lot of soft domes already do. The little dirty secret of high-res audio, you know, we got the recordings that supposedly go out to 50 and 100K, but the tweeters don't. But it's all part of what I've been trying to do recently, which started when I was at Pioneer with those BS22 loudspeakers. I've done speakers at all price points, all the way up to $80,000 a pair when I was with TAD, which went into systems with electronics that brought up the system price to $240,000. That's a lot of money, I realize it is. And it's fun designing stuff at that level, but you often get the comments, well, yeah, but anyone, if you got that much money to spend on design, can do or should do a good speaker. And yes, that's true, but you're still trying to outdo all the other guys who are doing $80,000 speakers, so you still got a challenge there. And it's a very different challenge, and it's satisfying its own right because you're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But it's a very limited market, clearly, for that price. And yeah, I won't go into value for money because it's this law of diminishing returns that we understand. But I've had success with doing all price points, and there's a satisfaction of doing entry-level systems because we all, you look around shows and everyone's hair's getting grey, we're getting older. Where's either the young people coming in or the people with limited disposable income, you know, people with families? I want people to be listening to music. I think we all do. That's why we're here. But there's a limited opportunity of good equipment at affordable prices. So that's become my mission right now, to try and give people that and give surprising value. We all get asked as audiophiles by friends, oh, I'm thinking of buying a stereo system, what would you recommend? And we'll give our answers, and they'll go, well, I wasn't meaning that much. And you know, that's rock bottom for us. We don't know how to recommend often something below that because either we haven't thought it through or we haven't been exposed to it, or we realized that there was nothing available lower price that we could honestly recommend. So it's okay, just go and listen for yourself. Get out of my way. So what I try to do is give that choice, give that value in a way that what I want is when you get the product home, knowing that it's been recommended. I don't want you to start listening and go, oh, I see what Bob or whoever, why he recommended it to me. It is good, yeah. I want you to go, well, I know Bob recommended this. I didn't think he meant it was that good. That's, if I don't achieve that, I think I'm failing. And so I'm trying to work that into all the speakers I do. And certainly it seems from the reaction to the debut series, I'm onto something. People are talking about exactly that, how surprising it is. So I'm trying to maintain that. And obviously I'm going to go up in price points, because having tackled entry level, I want to do a step up, but not a ridiculous step up. So if you think of the debut, it started at $229 and $279 a pair for the B5 and the B6. This new one is $500, but it's a true three-way with the lumen cones and the concentric driver. So it's still tremendous value. And it is, I feel, and again from the reaction here at the show, it's the first public showing, it is a significant step up in sound. So it's about double the price, and it's at least, let's say, double the performance. And that's not our normal reaction to audio. Law of diminishing returns. As you step up in price, yes, the performance goes up, but not as much as the price did. And I think right now, I'm the other way round. I can get a step up in sound that goes beyond the step up in price. Now, I know at some point that's going to flatten out and then flip back to the other way as we get higher and higher in price. But right now, that's what I'm trying to do. So we've got the three speakers in that range, and I'm trying to show its capability and also play music that maybe is not the kind of music I listen to, but I'm listening to the people who are listening to what I'm demonstrating, and comments about kinds of music. And obviously, I think attracting new listeners into it, we can play something other than just jazz, right? And of course, I'll still female vocal. I love female vocal, but there can be other genres of female vocal that can be used to show the capability. But what it does highlight, and we all know this, a lot of music these days relies on really good extended bottom end for the drive to the music. And generally, entry-level speakers just can't do it. So that's my other goal in the design, to give an extended range from the speaker. When you design small speakers, obviously they're small because we're trying to still keep good performance, but also a speaker that's practical for most people to accommodate in their listening rooms. Small speakers don't normally either have bass or have bass dynamics. They often give that up in order to get some kind of efficiency, make it easy to drive. But then you're missing half of the music. And so I'm going the other way around. I'm sacrificing some efficiency, because on the whole, power is a lot cheaper these days than it used to be. And we fixate on efficiency and how many watts can it handle, how many watts has my amplifier got. But most of the time, we don't push our amplifiers that hard. Yes, party time, okay, we do. But most of the time, we don't. And yet, we're always going to miss the bass if we haven't engineered that in. So that's what I'm trying to give people. And I'm using, for example, Dead Mouse track to illustrate not just that the performance extends down low enough to do justice to that genre of music, but also it can do it at a surprisingly powerful rhythmic level, even from a 5-inch driver. And I've even been going so far, this show is the public introduction of these new Uni-Fi speakers, but I've also got a new, let's say, even more entry-level speaker in the debut range. And we started with the B5, and like I said, that was $229. The last speaker I'd done before I joined Elac was with Pioneer, the BS22, and that was a 4-inch driver, and it proved to be enormously successful. $129 a pair, really unheard of performance at the price point. But starting with Elac, I made enough of a significant jump to that price point, because I needed to differentiate, and of course the Pioneer was still out in the marketplace, so why compete with myself? But now we've come back down to fill in halfway with that gap. And this is the first ever showing of the debut B4. So it's a 4-inch driver, same kind of style, well, exactly the same style as the B5, just smaller box. And same hour mid-woofer, same tweeter, but in a 4-inch size. Now, for a 4-inch small box, you wouldn't expect any bass. And yet, what I'm demonstrating to people, directly after I show the new Uni-Fi, which is already surprising people with the amount of bass I'm getting great performance out of the B4. And, okay, it's not as good. We'd expect that. But it's surprisingly good. It's that wow factor again. And what I'm trying to do as I engineer these speakers is, of course, no 4-inch driver can do everything that a 5-inch or a 6-inch or whatever can do. But it's got to do enough to surprise people, to give them most of the music spectrum that they want to hear. And if it starts to fail, let's say, it should do in an easy, graceful manner, so that you're not immediately drawn out of the music. You can keep listening, and you'll notice, oh yeah, the bass is maybe not as clean or dynamic when I really push it hard, but it's still there, and I can still listen to the music. The worst thing is if it clicks and farts and pops, and you go, oh, what was that? And you rush to turn it down. So it's the failing gracefully. I think I'm going to be a master at failing gracefully. Let's say someone did point out after I'd said that, he said, that about sums up my life, failing gracefully. Oh, can you imagine that on your tombstone? So, I am on a mission because it's been a long time since we've had enough people pay attention to this market segment. And I'm going to do this both for the speakers and for electronics that we're introducing and the subwoofers. Both in terms of surprising value and solving practical problems that people have. We have a tagline, expect innovation. And that means we're going to examine the market. And it's not just about can we make the same thing but better value. But let's look at what are people not doing that needs to be done. And we've addressed that with the new amplifier. Beyond the technology that we've got in terms of what we call a bash amplifier, it's not a Class D amplifier. What it does is solve a difficulty that people have in how to connect a subwoofer into a stereo system. Most regular stereo systems are not configured to easily add a subwoofer. And if you try and cobble something together, you can't play any louder than you did before because most implementations mean that you're still running the main speakers full range. So you add better bass extension, you don't add loudness capability. Now receivers, are obviously in a home theatre system, they're configured always to really use a subwoofer. You can put a filter into the main speakers, so you cut off the bass from that and feed it into the subwoofer, but not so much for a stereo system. So we're introducing an amplifier, which in a very compact chassis because of the amplifier technology we use, not quite as efficient as Class D, but still pretty, let's say, efficient enough to be able to package 100 watts per channel into a compact chassis. But we've added DSP capability so that we can find a way to easily add a subwoofer into the stereo system. And of course that's easier when it's your own amplifier, well, our own amplifier. So it's got a dedicated subwoofer output, so just one simple connection to the subwoofer. But it also allows you to put a high-pass filter into your main channel, and so restrict the bass that's going into there and put it into the subwoofer. But then the combination of app control from a smartphone over Bluetooth, we've got an algorithm that allows us to measure what the subwoofer's doing and measure what your main speaker's doing, and then perform an automatic blending of the two. Because you know the problem when you're trying to add a subwoofer, you've got phase controls, you've got frequency controls, you've got amplitude controls. And basically we leave it up to the customer to sort out how to add that subwoofer into the main speakers. And that's because we don't have control of that and we don't know what the customer is using. But if you think about it, as a speaker designer, my job normally is to blend the woofer to the mid-woofer to the mid-range to the tweeter. And I ought to know what I'm doing, but it's still not easy to do often, to get that seamless sound character. How's the customer, an inexperienced person, supposed to stand that chance, especially when all the controls are buried around the back of the subwoofer? So you're constantly jumping up and down from your listening seat, going over, leaning over the back of a subwoofer, adjusting controls. Putting all of that as an algorithm into the DSP containing the amplifier fixes all of that and makes it very straightforward. And at the same time, with the trick we've got of measuring near to the woofer and then back in the listening position, we can use the microphone in the phone instead of requiring a calibrated microphone. We kind of cancel out the effects of the microphone. But at the same time, we've now got the ability to do room correction. But it's not on any subwoofer that you choose. But it's not just room correction that's limited to the subwoofer. Because if you just do room correction on a subwoofer and you're crossing at, let's say, 50 or 60 hertz, it means you've got no room correction above that. And yet, you need it. If you think you need room correction, you certainly need it going on above 50 hertz and possibly all the way up to about 150, 180 hertz. We wouldn't take it beyond that. This amplifier gives you that capability. It automatically blends, and then it does room correction both on the subwoofer and the main speakers. And 100 watts channel, and it's $600. And therefore, another of these great value propositions, but one that solves a difficulty that everybody has that they haven't been able to get around up till now without a lot of effort. So that's where we're going with the company. Same with the music server that we're doing. Dedicated music server that isn't a computer that you've tried to plumb into your hi-fi system. Now, I know, as old folks, we can use computers, but we don't want to have to use computers in our hi-fi. That's the hi-fi, this is my computer. And I don't want to deal with crashes and updates and all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, a new younger market is totally comfortable with computers, but still, we wanted a solution where it's like a hi-fi. It's just a component that you put into the hi-fi. And that way, we're able to have a music server that's dedicated and easy to use, but as the interface between the music server and the user, we use Roon Labs software. And for those who are not familiar with Roon, you need to be. When we look at iTunes and any of the other programs on computers intended to organize your music collection and make it available easily to use, Roon just is so far beyond pretty much anything else as a way of aggregating your music and understanding what you've got and what would interest you. The ability, as you're listening, to interrogate the metadata, that's all stored locally on our device, and it goes out and catalogs your whole collection. But it's doing it in a way that you've got so much information available to you. And just a simple thing like you're listening to a piece of music and you go, yeah, I like that drummer. I wonder who that is. Click a button. Oh, there's the drummer. Oh, I wonder what else he does. Click a button. It scans it both tells you everything he's ever done, but it also scans your entire music library that you have resident, say, on your hard drives or available through Tidal, and tells you every album that you've got access to that drummer is on, and then shows you a new screen of just those albums, and can you listen to those, and you could just go on and on and on and on, and spend hours just exploring. Very powerful. So that's the other product that, well, it's going to be available next month, shipping next month. So it's this expect innovation. You'll see more. We're going to address the idea of, once again, the new market of, well, do I really want to bother with DACs and preamps and power amps and speakers? Because what I normally do is plug a set of computer speakers into my laptop and I'm done. Or I Bluetooth wirelessly to my speakers. What's all this other stuff that I'm having to get to understand? So, given we've got a music server, we're going to be doing powered speakers that are wired and wireless. Take what I've already designed and morph it into wireless versions for that market to make it easy. Yeah, I remember when I first showed the debut speakers with Elac. It was a Newport Beach show last year, and compared to what I normally have to do to set up a demo, or even to bring the equipment to a show when I was doing TAD, speakers at £330 and amplifiers at £200 and all this peripheral stuff, I decided I'm going to do a simple system, and I used an all-in-one Bel Canto DAC pre-power box, one box, pair of cables to the speakers, and I plugged my computer in. That was it. I actually arrived at the show with 2 suitcases, and half an hour later I kind of almost set up. I want that feeling. I want the feeling that you can get a system that you just open up and it works, but it gives that sound quality as well. So that's where we're headed. And it doesn't mean I've abandoned the high end. I still love the idea of how good can you get? And it's not just about the speakers themselves, just in the way I set up a system, where I get the music from, everything about getting good quality sound. I still enjoy that, and I will be doing that. But there's time for that. What I want to do now is concentrate on this more entry level to get people excited about listening to music in a better way. It's not that people are not listening to music. It's just that we feel, those of us who are involved in higher-end audio, or not even higher-end, just audiophiles, interested in how to get the best out of the music, we want to, we see what people are missing in how they listen to music. And we know just what the musicians, the recording engineers are putting into making those recordings, and yet it's not coming out the other end. It's like a dirty painting. You're looking through a dirty window. You don't get the full benefit of all the effort that painter put into the painting. We're passionate about music as well as the equipment, or at least we should be. And we want people to hear that and go, oh, wow, oh, now I understand that interplay between this and that, because I can now hear it. That's where I want to go.